Welcome to Day.Sports, place where a long-haired bloke likes to have a yarn about sports, take the piss out of it, but I can't believe we're already here. It's the NRL Grand Final week. I'm absolutely stoked for it. Before we jump into everything, make sure you like and subscribe. Leave me a comment as well. Who's going to be winning this weekend? Who's going to win the Clive Churchill? Who do you think is going to win the Dally M tonight? Make sure you go give all the socials a follow as well. Link everything in the bio. Especially on Instagram, I'm going to have a giveaway coming out very, very soon for 3 tickets to the Australia-Tonga game here in Brisbane at Suncorp Stadium. So you're going to have to be following on the Instagram if you'd like to get involved in that. Jumping straight into it, it's going to be my player of the week. He was Jerome Hughes. He killed it. He should hopefully be winning the Dally M tonight, potentially the premiership this weekend. It has been a massive year for him, but he was on fire. Him and the Storm absolutely bounced out the Roosters, pumping them 48-18. He bagged another hattie, had 2 line breaks, 6 tackle breaks, 380 kick metres. Panthers and Nathan Cleary are the only ones that can stop him now. He has been elite. I'm a little bit worried that Teddy might snag the award off him tonight. Everyone wants him to win. I want him to win, but yeah, it is a bit of an odd one. Again, Dally M's are tonight. Very keen for that, so we'll see how that all goes. Now, quick little recap before everything else. Went 2 for 2 last week. Easiest picks of my entire life. Storm, they pumped the Roosters again, 48-18. It was a brutal start. What was it? First hit up. Lindsay Collins, he gets KO'd. Nelson, he goes off the field. He's not playing this week in the grand final. I'm saying free Nelson. Let him play. That is such a rough penalty for him to miss out on a grand final. The pinnacle of your game, essentially, outside of your state of origin. But for Clubland, it's the biggest thing that you can do. And yeah, he has to sit it out. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, shoulder hit the head. Obviously concussed, knocked out Lindsay Collins seriously as well. So I guess if Roosters won, it would have been terrible for him. But not really a whole lot you could probably do in that situation. You got 2 massive blokes steaming at each other off the kickoff. It wasn't a full-blown shoulder charge. It wasn't intentional. It was an accident. I think there needs to be... I don't know how you fix that. I think there needs to be a little bit of leeway. Not necessarily for the situation, the head knock and everything. That's going to be terrible, but... You know, just given there has been a lot worse situations previously, games leading up to grand finals and players have been allowed to play. I think part of that, because Nelson's the one involved, I guess he's somewhat of a history of, you know, different charges and whatever else. But yeah, I think it's still pretty rough. So yeah, free Big Nelson. I love how he jumped straight on his social media with the shirts and everything. Free Nelly. Yeah, that was elite. But the Melbourne Storm, their spine is broken. They looked so good. Pappy was carving them up. I wouldn't say he's back to that full explosive pace, but he was more than enough. Hughes, Munster, Grant, all of them just linked up something chronic and ripped the Roosters to pieces. Well, I thought it looked all but over in the first half, but the Roosters, they managed to come out of that second half really, really strong. They made it a bit close. I think it was like 24-16 or something, and I was like, whoa, they might actually make a run for this. And then the wheels fell off. Melbourne just try, punish them after that. It was a complete shutout. Next game though, Penrith, they got it done 26-6. Sharks, they were well up for that game. Penrith, they didn't really come alive, I felt, until the last probably about 15 minutes or so. They made a lot of uncharacteristic mistakes. Now, given that it was pissing down rain as well, but a lot of their, like, even good players, I think it was even, like, Edwards, he knocked on, I think, at the back. There was just a lot of handling mistakes. You could see the soul leaving Ivan Cleary's body up in the commentary box, seeing those mistakes. It was probably a lot closer than a lot of people would have expected for a good part of that game. They just put the ball down a lot, and at the end of the day, though, Nathan, the rest of the team, they just show their class. They managed to get it done. Nathan just looked spectacular. Some of those passes he was putting through, they were just elite. There was some concerns about that obstruction try. It's been, I guess, addressed by Ivan. Hopefully we don't see any of those type of calls happening this weekend. But yeah, either way, they got it done. It just come down to that, like I said, last 10-15 minutes. They just went bang, 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 26-6. Makes it look like it was a lot more of a pumping than what it actually was. So off to the grand final for Penrith, and we're going to see the 2 best teams go at it, and that's all we can ask for, and that's going to be the best thing. Now, getting straight into the biggest news that has been going around the rugby league world for the last week or so. Kevin Walters, he got sacked or stepped down, I guess, depending on where you read it from. That's officially what the Broncos put out, but pretty much everywhere else said he got sacked. I think it's a little bit of both, to be completely honest with you. So, took me completely by surprise on my Thursday evening. Did not have that on the bingo cards for Kevin Walters to get sacked. The board, they came out so strongly in his defence at the end of the season saying, nah, Kevy's going to be the coach for 2025. And yeah, that lasted, a couple weeks and he's already gone. So with that, the review, it got completed. I think they got some independent guy from New Zealand, I believe, something to do with rugby, whatever. Apparently he's done this at a few different areas and clubs and sporting teams, whatever it was, but didn't go well. I've heard a whole lot of mixed stuff, but a lot of harsh criticism apparently for Kevy, his coaching style. Not so much, obviously, going to start sounding like bloody selling Cobbo, but not Kevy as a bloke, but potentially his coaching style. And if you're getting a whole lot of comments like Cobbo did a few years ago where you're saying, great bloke, shit coach, it's probably not going to end up being so great. And that's, it makes you kind of wonder a little bit like what happened with Justin Langer a few years ago with the Australian cricket team. They were going, to be fair, they were going a lot better than what the Broncos were. They were winning everything. He just won everything, but didn't really gel so well with the players. And it makes you wonder, is there an aspect to that, particularly with this review going on, what those players have said? Apparently, Kevy had a bit of a blow-up as well, so probably didn't help his cause. It wouldn't have been great if the players did have something to do with it. At the same time, I think players like Reno, obviously Billy's going to back his dad, but even Reno's backed Walters throughout the season. Supposedly, the players had no idea it was actually going to happen until it broke on social media as well, which I think is fucking strange. They should be in the loop for something like that. Such a massive decision, and they have to find out through social media. You think the club or somebody could reach out to them first, but apparently that's how they felt about it as well. So, bit of a rough one there. Kevy, he wasn't even out the door before Madge hit Red Hill as well. So he was already out there getting photos and all the Broncos gear. I feel massively for Kevy in that one. I think he should be kept on for at least 10 to 12 games next season. I can see it on the other side of things as well. If you get rid of a coach mid-season, the disruption that can happen, the way the media is going to be towards it. I think historically teams haven't gone so well after that sort of booting, but yeah, pretty rough for Kevy. He is literally Mr. Brisbane Broncos. He has given everything to that club as a coach, as a player, wears his heart on his sleeve. It meant so much to him, you can tell. You can imagine how he'd be feeling really shattered with that one. I'm sad to see him go. I think he was good. Not the results that we were looking for in 2024 for sure, but literally 9 fingers on that trophy last year in that grand final. And yeah, sure, maybe there's some tweaks that could have been made in his coaching style, but at the same time, the players need to be playing to a particular level that I don't think they were held accountable to this year. Massive things to come. But Madge, as soon as I found out that happened, he was pretty much the one that I was thinking, let's get him on board. I didn't think it would really going to be something that could happen with him coaching New South Wales. I thought, okay, he's got a little successful gig there. People are going to want him to continue that. He might not be able to contractually get out of it. But then sure enough, a couple of days later, New South Wales come out and go, yep, we'll let Madge go. And I think later on that afternoon, official reports were coming out that, he had signed with the Brisbane Broncos. So very exciting as a Broncos fan. Sad for Kevy, but at the same time, stoked that we're going to have Madge in there. I think he could potentially be that coach that we do need to move into the future, kind of mature and develop this team a little bit more as well. His resume speaks for itself. He's got the wins. He's got the premierships. He's got everything he needs. So I think it was like Wigan. He has premiership there, obviously, with the Rabbitohs and recent history. What he did last year with that New Zealand team to absolutely flog Australia was massive. And then coming out to beat a pretty red-hot Queensland team in the state of origin after Freddie got bumped last year. I think that's pretty huge. Gordie on 360, though, he's ready to punch on. He's blowing up about the way, I guess understandably as a friend of Kevy's, how he got treated during the situation, but does not seem too fond of a New South Wales coach being in there, does not seem too fond of Madge being in there. Hopefully it's not going to be too much head noise for the club. It's going to be all eyes on him at the start of the season. He's got the team to get it done. But yeah, we'll see how Madge goes. But Madge, he's the man. Queensland should get the Friday before the NRL Grand Final as a public holiday. So for Stephen Miles, if you're ever tuned into this one, if you're going to be getting this around your ears, if Victoria gets a public holiday for the Melbourne Cup and the AFL Grand Final, we need to be getting one for the NRL. If that happened, you'd get my vote for sure. It'd be one of the all-time long weekends. You'd have the Friday before the NRL Grand Final public holiday, Grand Final on the Sunday, rolling straight into the King's birthday. Who wouldn't want that? It would be elite. And speaking of finals as well, the Grand Final should be held at Suncorp every second year. New South Wales, they've had it down there since the dawn of time. I think the only year that we've had it was the 2021 year that COVID kind of cooked everything. And then there was one in 97, 98, I believe, for the Super League. But everything else, always been in Sydney. Now, I get from the perspective, yes, majority of clubs are Sydney-based, whatever else, but at the same time, you could not deny the atmosphere and what it would be like having it at Suncorp Stadium, Caxton Street pumping. It would be unreal. So many people in Queensland would never be able to make a grand final in New South Wales. I think it would just be a whole lot more accessible to a lot of fans, and it should be shared around. A bit like State of Origin, where they have that decider changing each year. I think something like that would be great. You know, we had the 2021, like I said, and that was massive, but it would be great. You know, if you're looking at going down to the grand final from anywhere, sure, don't get me wrong, staying in Sydney is going to be expensive. But if you're already in Sydney, sure, you could probably jump on a bus, train, ferry, whatever bloody hell you felt like doing, unless you're from, you know, out west somewhere or out some little town. You know, it's going to be kind of an expensive trip. But even in comparison, it's going to be harder for people in Queensland to travel down there. The flights, accommodation, everything is just going to be ridiculous. At least if you had it at those different venues, it gives them an opportunity. Now, if you're coming down from Townsville, you're going to have to pay for that anyway, but it's going to be cheaper to get to Brisbane and have the accommodation there. You know, you're not travelling as long, especially if you've got kids and whatever else. You know, like I can't say that I've got down to New South Wales. Probably wouldn't have really been on the family's cards to go down there. Just would have cost an arm and a leg. Now, nearly got to the 2021 grand final, and I'm pissed about that. So 2021, the finals, everything going on, the majority, I think it was like the last however many games, definitely the final series was all played at Suncorp, which was great if you're here in Brisbane like I was. I went to so many finals, the tickets were super cheap. You've seen a lot of teams as well play, especially in a finals arena that you'd never get a chance to see. Got tickets to the grand final. Secured, locked in. I was like, yep, my dad, my brother, sweet, let's go, let's get tickets. Because when else are we really going to have a chance to go to a grand final? We're probably not going to go down unless the Broncos are playing. And yeah, look, haven't been the most successful getting all the way to the grand final in the last while. Twice in the last 20 years has been a bit rough, or nearly 20 years. But had tickets to it, and it was days leading up to it that there were COVID outbreaks and everything kicking off in Queensland. And there were talks saying that they were going to start cutting the capacity of Suncorp Stadium to meet the COVID rules, and so it was safe and all this, which load of bullshit now we look back on it all. But anyway, all this happens, and sure enough, get an email from, you know, the NRL or the ticket supplier or whatever, being like, yeah, you're going to be getting a refund, unfortunately, because of X, Y, Z. So that sucked. I had to sit that one out, watch that one at home, and yeah, probably won't be going to a grand final for a while. So that one stings. Thanks, Anastasia Palage. Later, bro. Yeah, bit of a rough one, but definitely one of the best games that I saw was the lead up to that 2021 grand final. A mate of mine, we went along to see the Storm Penrith game, so that knockout game there in the prelims. The atmosphere at Suncorp was just next level, especially when you had Penrith. I think both of them run out to AC/DC actually. I think it's like Thunderstruck for Melbourne, but Hell's Bells, the song that Penrith always run out to, when those kind of almost like Undertaker gongs start to go off and then fucking music hits, players start running out. It was elite, but we accidentally found ourselves sitting in, I think it was a Storm supporters area. I don't even know. I think I just purchased the tickets, didn't pay too much attention. Might have been the supporters area, might not have been, but we were either way surrounded by Storm fans. I feel like there's a lot of bandwagon Queensland Storm fans. So we were at that one. We were going for Penrith at the time. We didn't have a horse in the race. He's a Bulldogs fan. I'm a Broncos fan. So we were just happy to be there, really. And few beers, couple rums, whatever else we're drinking. And Storm went on to get absolutely pumped. We were a bit lippy to the fellas around us, everyone around us. They were not too happy as Storm fans, but it was just a bit of friendly banter. But unreal game. So having a final there would just be excellent. I was at the one last year. Well, I went to two last year, did Broncos Storm. So I went in round 27 when we got beaten by their B-side when we were playing our B-side. Versus them the week later, pumped them. It was like, 40-something, 30-something to nil. Absolutely destroyed them. Week off, and then we played the Wars there. Again, amazing atmosphere, but pumped them as well. How things have changed in a year for a Broncos fan, but yeah, it is a great place to have a game. And that brings us all the way into the grand final. We're going to be seeing Storm take on the Penrith Panthers this Sunday. Rematch of the 2020 grand final. Clash of the two best teams by far. It's similar to last year. It's those two, a bit of a gap. The rest of the top 8, top 4, and then everyone else. It is a big difference. It's like last year. You knew the Broncos and Penrith were just destined to meet in the finals, and that's exactly how it's played out this year. You're getting the two best. You got the two best halves going at it. Your best half of the season in Jerome Hughes, and your best half in the game in the world, potentially ever moving forward. Joey Johns holds that for a long time, but you got your two best going at it. Storm, they've got it over the Penrith Panthers this year as well. They've beat them twice. I think it was round 1 and then round 20-odd something when Nathan picked up that shoulder injury, which I think if he had stayed out on the field could have iced that field goal attempt at the end to either draw it up and take it in extra time, and who knows. You see what he's capable of in those big games. He is Mr. Big Game footy. But in saying that, my tip for this one, I'm going to go Penrith 1-12. I'm on the bandwagon for Penrith. If you can't beat them, join them. You cannot deny how amazing this team has been over the last 5 years. It's their 5th grand final in a row. I personally think they're the greatest team that we've ever seen, at least in recent history. We haven't seen a team this dominant, especially if they're able to slot this one when they've probably got one of the weaker sides on paper compared to previous seasons, and they're up against probably the strongest team. In saying that, I think Broncos were a lot more dangerous for them last year. Broncos just had that ability to put 30 points on you in a matter of 10 minutes, and that's basically almost what happened last season as well. Don't get me wrong, Melbourne have a lot of attack. I just don't think they've got attack force like the Broncos do, but it'll be interesting. Penrith, I think they're going to definitely have to be on their A game. Well, no shit, but in comparison to the way that they started off last week and have maybe not quite been, the Penrith of old, I guess, at this point. If they're making those sort of mistakes they did last week, Storm will pick up on that. They will punish them. They will put the points on if they are dropping the ball, turning it over, giving away bad possession. It's going to hurt them big time, but I think they're going to be able to come together. They've done it year in, year out, like I've said so many times. They've got so much experience. This week, for any other team that hasn't been there before, I can't imagine the stress, anxiety, pressure for a lot of those players that have never been this far into a final series. Considering for Storm, I think only maybe a handful of them were there the last time that they played a grand final in 2020. Meanwhile, the Penrith team, pretty much every single one of them has been through this process over the last 4 or 5 years. Don't get me wrong, still be super stressful, you'd be anxious, but, being there, done that, you're just going to feel a lot more comfortable in those situations around the media, around everything else that's happening leading up to the game. So, yeah, I think they're going to be well. Both of these teams have some absolute game breakers on their sides. Your Cleary, your Munster in particular, is a guy that loves to stand up. Hughes has been playing well. Luai, your Pappenhausen, all of those guys that individually could turn a game on its head. One player that I think, obviously Nathan, he's going to be the big one. Hughes is going to be a big one. Munster's a big one. But I really think Jerome Luai could be a guy that could be the key for Penrith. You can see he does stand up as well and has these individual moments of brilliance in these big games. You don't need to look too much further. Just from this season, actually, I think he's probably having the best season he's ever had, especially with the absence of Nathan throughout the season. And you never know, it might be Nathan that has to go off with a bung shoulder this year, and it's Cleary that steps up and does the worldie winning type of stuff. But you saw what he did with New South Wales in Game 3. That was just an absolute deadlock, and he managed to bust that game open and, turn the tides. I think he could be in for it. But there's just class. There's class everywhere. Isaiah Yeo has had one of his best seasons ever. Dylan Edwards, absolutely amazing as well. He would be my pick, I think, probably for the Clive Churchill. I reckon he's going to be a big shout for it. Between, I think, him, Yoey, and Nathan from Penrith would definitely be there. But yeah, Luai could be a smoker as well. But Penrith, if they win this, I already personally think that they're the best team, like I said, going around. But if they win this, it's undeniable. They'll get their revenge against Storm. Ivan would have to go down as like rockets him straight into one of the greatest coaches of all time as well, especially if they can somehow keep this up after a few players. And on both sides of the field, well, I guess more so probably with Penrith, two massive guys that are leaving that team in Luai and James Fisher-Harris that have been such an integral part of this team that has gone on to build this legacy and this dominance over the years. They're going to be putting everything out there to get it done. I'm so excited. I'm stoked that we're going to see this game. It's going to be awesome. Super game for it. Again, let me know who you're going to be back in. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to say about it. I guess we could get into all the analysis and whatever else, but at this point, I just want to enjoy it. We're seeing the clash of the Titans, essentially. Yeah, I'll do a video on it next week, just kind of going over what transpires, and yeah, we'll just have a chat about it then. That gets me into the tip of the week. I'm going to be back in both halves. They're going to have massive games. They're the two best going around. Nathan, he loves to be Mr. Big Game player, so I think he's going to get over any time for a big 4-pointer. Hughes, he can't stop scoring tries. He should be wearing the Dalian while he's playing. I think he's going to find a big moment to step up and cross for 4 glorious points as well. On top of that, I will be backing Penrith to win. Like I said, my tip's 1 to 12, but I'm just going to say for them to win in this one. And if you put all that together, it snags you a nice little $18 for those 3 legs. So jump on it if you want. I'll post that on the Instagram. So keen for it. Yeah, with off-season coming up as well, I'm going to be leaning a lot more towards the summer of cricket, big UFC events, things like that are going on as well, whatever else is happening in sport, and whatever I really feel like talking about, to be honest. But I will have some videos coming out as well with the international games, so a few of those, and even some sneaky collabs coming up, so keep your eyes out for those. I'll post those. Generally, probably, will get posted on here on the YouTube, but definitely on the TikTok and Instagram as well. Speaking of the summer of cricket, Travis Head is taking the piss in England. He is just about the last person that you want bowling. He's that far down the order, but he goes, yeah, chuck me the ball anyway. I'm just going to roll my shoulder over and get a casual 4 for 28. Punish England with the bat, punish them with the ball. I'm that keen to see him open up against Pakistan and India. Travis is just, what a man. Ultimate sex appeal with that mo as well. He's just built different. I'm so keen to just park up on the couch, by the pool, indulge in a bit of test cricket, just sit back, lounge, enjoy it. I'll be going along to that first game against India as well at the Gabba, so pretty keen for that. I think the atmosphere there is going to be electric. What was it? I think the last test that I went to would have been the Ashes. A couple of years ago. That's when Starkey, first ball of the day, just bowled old mate. It was elite. And while I'm not as fond of it compared to the test, the Big Bash, it kicks off I think in December, so I'll be covering a little bit of that as well here and there when I get a chance to watch it. Trying to get a bit more into it this year, but yeah, test cricket's more so where it lies. And then last but not least, a little bit of UFC 307. I only literally want to talk about the main event, like the main fight. The rest of the cards, whatever. But it's before the grand final, which is just really, really horny stuff if you're into UFC and the NRL. That's just the perfect Sunday for you with a day off the next day. Bad time to be a beer. Can't say, like I said, it's going to be the best card overall. You never know. But the main event, Alex Pereira taking on Khalil Roundtree, that is a banger. It's really weird. I swear Potan fights every other month. It's ridiculous. Roundtree probably hasn't beaten the people he should have beaten to get a shot at the title. His resume, and I'm not trying to take anything away with all due respect, but I just don't think he's gone through kind of your top 10, top 5 guys to earn the title shot. But in saying that, this is such an exciting match. You've got Alex Pereira, who has world class, if not one of the greatest kickboxers of all time, and then you've got the Muay Thai of Khalil Roundtree. That stand-up clash is going to be insane. So you've got brutal kickboxing versus Muay Thai. Roundtree has some serious power as well. Just look at the bloke. You cannot be sleeping on him. If he lands clean, he is explosive. He could fucking really do some damage to Alex Pereira. We all know what Alex can do. He's got that touch of death. His hands are literally made of stone. That's why his nickname is what it is. That left hook as well is always going to be there. And I think Roundtree leaves a lot of openings for that to slip through. It's just going to be a hell of a fight. I think Alex Pereira is going to win. I'm going to go KO. I'm going to go round 2. I'm going to go by left hook as well. But it could be an interesting fight. It would be wild if Khalil Roundtree managed to get it done, but Alex is just built different. As soon as that music starts, that hair gets shaved, he is just a monster. He has all the kickboxing and stand-up credentials you could ever ask for. Two-time glory champion in multiple weight divisions at the same time. Come over to UFC, just did a speed run of that. He is ridiculous, but that's pretty much all we've got for today. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the grand final. Go Penrith. I can't believe I'm saying that. But yeah, have a good one. Catch you guys next week.